Hello everyone, this is the great Lord and Master, Oseron, the Eternal, or the artist formerly known as the Great Roberto. Okay, in this video, I'm completely breaking away, or at least at first glance, I'm breaking away from the Kabbalistic tree of life here. This is called the Yggdrasil, this structure here, and this is the Norse world tree. Okay, now I'm going to state out right in the beginning, I know almost next to nothing about the mythology behind this, but in right now I don't care about that, because all I care about right now is how this structure here interacts with the single digit code. And then after that I'll look more into the mythology of it, because I am fascinated by it. There's actually one thing I'll read, an excerpt on a meme I saw, how it applies to this too. It's powerful, and I'll get to that. Now for this construct here, I want to thank my good friend Seth Boza. He has a channel called Black Earth Productions on YouTube, and he has a lot of good information, but he's the one who turned me on to this structure here. And then I started working on it yesterday, and I noticed how powerfully it works with the single digit code. I mean, this thing is amazing what it does. So this is called the Yggdrasil and the single digit code. Now, there's one thing you're going to notice right away with this structure when you look at it, especially if you look at image drawn more symmetrically. One thing you're going to see right away is a cube right in the middle of it. That's the first thing I noticed, was a cube right in the middle of it. So then when I started looking at this, I noticed this structure, the way it's presented visually, is heavily rooted in 6. So what that suggests is, as it presents itself in this world, it's presenting itself through what would be the equivalent of the jewel of creation, using the Kabbalistic tree of life, or the structure that is used by the Kabbalists. Let me add that. Let me get into that. Over here you see a bunch of numbers. You see a bunch of 3s and 12s and all that. Well, that's showing what this structure is presenting visually with its patterns. Okay, now if you look at the cube right in the middle, and you start to look at the connecting lines, you're going to see 6 outer connecting lines between these circles, okay? And then you're going to see 6 more lines inside, and that gives you 12 for that pattern, okay? But that's 2 groups of 6. And this also shows why on the Oseron zodiac spiral that the outer row of cards on the spiral uses 2 rows, because the cube here is made up of 2 distinct sets of 6 lines when you look at it in a two-dimensional view. Okay, so now we got that. We got the 12 for that, and then in the middle here you're going to see a red triangle for the masculine, and you're going to see a female triangle for the feminine, or blue triangle for the feminine. And this, of course, is the star that the Jews stole. The hexagonal star. Okay. And that forms 2 more sets of 3 to give you another set of 6. And then in the upper rows here, you got 3 more lines for 3, and then you got the same mirror image down below of 3 more lines for another group of 6. So in total, that gives you 4 groups of 6. And of course, 6 times 4 is 24. And this is presenting itself in our world visually as a 6, which is the masculine mask of Kundalini. But now, if you take the numbers here, and you reduce this 12 to 3, and now you reduce all the numbers, what you get is 5 groups of 3. Okay, and then of course 5 times 3 is 15, which is R215, the double, and which reduces, of course, again to 6. So the presentation visually of this is 6. But there's a lot more going on with this than just the visual presentation. It presents itself visually as the 6 through the eyes of the jewel, but the numbers it uses in the way it constructs itself uses the patterning of the true tree of life, but it's invisible. Okay? Now what you're going to see in the middle of here, like every circle, and in this case I'm going to call them circles and not Sephiroth, because I don't want to confuse this or even link this with the tree of life directly right now. At first glance, you see only 9 circles. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. There's only 9. And again, that's presenting itself through the eyes of the jewel, because the jewel of creation only uses 9 numbers, or 9 Sephiroth. But you're going to notice in the middle, I have 2 numbers. I have a 4 and a 5. Why would I put 2 numbers in that middle? Why would I do that? Well, again, going back to the cube, if you look at the cube, okay, you're going to notice something. On every corner of the cube, there's a circle. Okay? And now, in this middle circle here, visually you only see 1 circle, but there's another corner hidden behind this. And that is why there's 2 numbers there. Now, if you construct this following the same rules that is used on the true tree of life, and all that is acknowledging the basic fundamental principle of nature is that the feminine precedes the masculine. So when you construct that, and if you put, in the way you construct it, if you construct it in the order of, I'll call the middle neutral, and then feminine and masculine, the way it's constructed, it uses the neutral, and then feminine, and then masculine. If you construct it like that, it reveals its exact opposite. So when you construct it using 0, and then you come to 1, and then you go to 2, in the way of its construction, it's following the course of the feminine, but it produces the 2 of the masculine, and then it goes to the 3, which is feminine, but it goes to the side that would be masculine. So it's showing you simultaneously both polarities. So you go 0, and then 1, and then you got the 2 going into the mode that would be feminine, and the 3 going into the mode that would be masculine. And then you go into the middle here, and you got the 4, and then the 5, and then the 6, 7, and 8. Now, the way I constructed this, I was 100% congruent in both ways. If you look at this cube, you're going to see it's comprised of a square on the top, and then a square on the bottom, and the circles fall into that. So you got the 0 up here, which is a state of 0. And you go to the 1. This would be the top of the diamond shape that the square makes, okay? So you got the 1 on the top, and then you go to the feminine and put the 2, which is masculine. And then you put the 3 in the masculine spot again, okay? And then you go to the bottom and put the 4. And now you jump down and start over again. So the 5 goes into the top, and then the 6, then the 7, then the 8, and then down to the 9. So it's 100% congruent and symmetrical in the way it's constructed. And it's constructed in a feminine, it's constructed using the model of the true tree, but as it's constructed, it presents itself visually as the jewel of creation. This is amazing. This is sort of doing what the tree of the great Lord, or the tree and jewel combined, does in one sigil without using 2 constructs. This is doing both of those simultaneously, and we see that in the middle with the star, with the masculine and the female triangles presenting the 6-pointed star. Okay. This is amazing. The structure is amazing. This is beautiful. Okay, now, if you break this up using the middle as a guide, everything above that pillar or that circle, like the numbers 1, 2, and 3 combine to form a 6. And now everything below here, the 6, 7, 8, and 9 combine to form a 3 reduced. Now you can do that 2 ways. you can just use the 6, 7, and 8, and that forms 21 to give you a 3, or you can add the 9, and that just makes it come right out to 30, and even 30, which reduces to 3. Either way it works, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then in the middle is a 9. So this is giving you a 6, 3, or 6, 9, then 3 presentation. And this follows one of the rules of vortex math. If you look at Randy Powell and Mark Rodin's presentation of vortex math, one of the things that they postulate in their system is that the 6 and the 3 is always separated by a 9. Okay, that's what they say. The 6 and the 3 is always separated by the 9. And this is what happens when you do that. The upper world is presenting itself as a 6, in the middle is a 9, and then the lower presents itself as a 3. Okay, that's what you get. Now this here, these weird symbols here, are the runes that are associated with each of these circles. Okay, now I have no idea what these runes mean right now. But if you look in the middle rune here, it shows 2 corners, it looks like 2 corners merging together. Well, that's what's happening in this middle circle here, the 4 and the 5. It's showing 2 corners. It's just one of them is hidden. You can't see it when you're looking at it head on. Now, one thing I also want to add about this real quickly. Now, I'm not sure if this is in any way congruent to the symbology of the world tree here, because again, I know next to nothing about it. But if you use the true tree of life and the jewel as a sort of symbolic model with this, and you put the middle of this as the sun or Tippereth, what this is suggesting is there is a visual sun, which in this case would be the 4, and the hidden sun or the black sun would be hidden behind it and you can't see it. So it's showing the 4 is presented, which is the elements, but the 5 that's behind it is the elements plus Kundalini, but that's hidden, so that would be the equivalent of the sun that we see, and then the black sun hidden behind it, which is the logos or the aspect of Kundalini. Because remember, Kundalini is invisible. We can never know what it is. All we see of Kundalini is how it interacts with the physical conduits that we have in this world, blood, all the other liquids of the body, which is represented by 7, okay? So that's that. Now, over here, I got a bunch of numbers written out. Now, if you take these numbers, okay, and you add up their opposition, like in this case, I'll use the 1 and the 8, okay? 1 and 8 becomes 9, 2 and 7 becomes 9, 3 and 6 become 9, and then of course 4 and 5 become 9. And this is what this shows over here. It shows 1 and 8 become 9, 2 and 7 become 9, 3 and 6 become 9, and 4 and 5 become 9. Now, the way I constructed this was using the basic root mathematical formula of the lowest number gets presented first in dominant, okay? So in this case is a 1. So you got 1, and then its opposite is an 8, okay? And that gives you 9. And then the next number naturally is going to be a 2. So you go 2, and its opposite is 7 to give you a 9. And then, of course, the next number is a 3. So you use 3, and then a 6, 9. And then the next number naturally is a 4. So 4 and 5 equal 9. Now, if you notice, this completely presents itself in first feminine, masculine, masculine, feminine, feminine, masculine, and then masculine, feminine. And it also does the same exact thing going up and down. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, which is feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine. And then it goes back up 5, 6, 7, 8, feminine, masculine, feminine, masculine. So this is completely balanced from a polarity perspective, feminine to masculine, and vice versa. It's just glorious how this does. And then if you add up these numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4, that becomes 10, which reduces to 1. And these numbers here, if you add them up, 8, 7, 6, 5, come to 26, which reduces to 8, and that gives you a 1 and an 8. And now if you add up these 9s, 4 times 9, as we've seen in the other videos, is 36. Okay? okay, 3 and 6. And then, just for the fun of it, if you add up, of course, all these numbers 1 through 8, that comes to 36 as well. And if you add 36 plus 36, that comes to 72, and that's another, again, the 72 name of God. And also, but in the Kundalini grid of the Proof of God series, the very center of the mandala is 27 and then 72. And we're seeing that here. In what this lower set of figures is if you sort of equate this to a format of the Tree of Life. Now remember, this isn't the Tree of Life or the Kabbalistic Tree of Life, but it presents itself similarly, okay? But if you add the 2 and the 6, and then the 1, 9, 8 and 9, and then the 3 and the 7, you get what you have over here. Let's make sure you can see this. Okay, you got 2 plus 6 is 8. Then you got 3 plus 7, which is 10, it reduces to 1, and that gives you 81, okay? Now you go to the middle pillar, you got 1, 9, 8, and then 9, and that of course comes to 27, okay? Now, 81 plus 27 gives you 108, 108. So now what we just did is we linked Norse mythology with Hindu mythology. 108, and this shows you how another way that the 108 would have been created. Okay. Again, this is just fantastically amazing of what this structure is. It's perfect. It's a perfect representative of the single-digit code of 0 through 9 and 369 in one structure. And the beauty of it is this is doing what the unified tree or the tree of the great Lord does with 2 constructs. This is doing it with 1. Okay, and it presents itself in this world through the eyes of the jewel, but the construction of it uses the formula of the true tree of life. But all of the true tree of life aspects are invisible, except for the numbers, because it goes 0 through 9, and you see that here. But everything else is invisible. That would be the true tree. So I think, oh yeah, there's one thing I wanted to get to. The only aspect of Norse mythology that I know about was something that I read yesterday. Let me read this to you. This is huge. Okay? Okay. This is a meme. I saw this in a meme yesterday. Odin is a god of war and death, but also the god of poetry and wisdom. He hung for 9 days, pierced by his own spear, on the world tree. Here he learned 9 powerful songs in 18 runes. Odin can make the dead speak to question the wisest among them. His hall is Asgard in some word, Valaskalaf. I have no idea what that means, but that means I have no idea how to pronounce it, but it means, I guess, shelf of the slain. Where his throne, another word I have no idea how to say, Hindlzaf, is located. From this throne, he observes all that happens in the 9 worlds. Okay, this is the meme. Now, the numbers that are presented in that meme are alluding to the single-digit code entirely. Okay, the numbers that are presented in there are 9, 9, 18, and then 9 again. If I had my markers, I would draw it out, but it doesn't matter. I don't need to. Okay, 9, 9, 18, and then 9. So that, now there's 2 ways you can look at that. And this goes, now as I explain this, keep in mind that in the dead center of this construct is a 4 and a 5. Okay? So if you look at that 9, 9, 18, and then 9 again, if you look at it through the filter of the 4, it's showing that 9 times 4 is 36, which of course is a Kundalini grid. Okay? But now if you look at the 18 as 2 9s, it presents itself to you as the 5. And 9 times 5 is 45, which is the material matrix. Okay, so that meme and the mythology behind that meme is alluding to the single digit code, and it's also alluding to both worlds, the world of Kundalini and the world of the material matrix, all in one meme. And the key to it is that 18. Because that 18 can be viewed either as 1 9 if you reduce it, or it can be viewed as 2 9s if you take the number 18 as being 2 9s. Absolutely amazing. And this works hand in hand. And we even see that here in the middle if you look at it in the right way. See, we got 1 9 here, and then we got 1 and an 8 here to form 9. Then we got another 9. Then when you add all these up, it becomes 27, which is another 9. So we see a 9, 1 9, 2 9s, 3 9s, and then the 1 and the 8 become the 4th 9, or the 5th 9 if you look at the 18 or the 1 and the 8 as 2 9s. So this is sort of encapsulating the myth of Odin in the middle of this construct here, in the middle of the world tree here. So now if Odin hung on the world tree, well, this middle pillar here is Odin in that myth that I just read you. Now there's one thing I want to point out about the name Odin, or the name Osiris, or the name even Oseron. They all start with a big O. But they're all, at least, they're all masculine presented figures. Now that could just be a case of the wish for paternal dominance, or that could be just a reflection of, through the jewel of creation in the world that we see, masculine is presented as dominant. That could be another way to look at it. Another way to look at it is the state of 0, like the 1, has a masculine and a feminine presentation. Because we know that 1, when it's separated from 0, okay, is a thing. Because it is a thing, it means it's masculine. But the paradox of that is the one thing that is created is feminine, okay? And 0 is the same way. If you look at 0 as the birthing of 1, it's feminine. But if you look at, once that 1 is born, and it's looking or trying to understand the concept of 0, 0 then itself becomes a thing, which then becomes another 1. But in that case, the 0 takes on its masculine form of being a thing, a state of 0. So both 0 and 1 can present themselves masculine or feminine. It depends on how you look at it, but they're both. So that's another beauty of the aspect of 0 and 1, because all of these videos I've made in this series, it all boils down to 0 and 1. That's all it is. Everything is just a binary. It either isn't or it is. And it's that. Now there's one more thing I want to get to with this. Now this is Nordic mythology, and we're just seeing a powerful link to Hinduism and Vedic mythology. Now we know that both of those cultures are rooted in the Aryan race, as is Egypt. Now there's one thing that I've known for a while, is that the Jews, and I was always confused by this, because the Jewish, especially Kabbalism, borrows heavily from Egyptian symbolism. Freemasonry is basically Egyptian symbolism filtered through the perception of the Jew. But then again, Abrahamism is basically a carbon copy of Persian Zoroastrianism. Okay, so I was always wondering, where did they get their culture? From the Persians or from the Egyptians? Well, the answer is both. But now, the postulation I'm making is that the Jews weren't given their knowledge. Okay, the postulation that I'm getting at is the Jews weren't given their knowledge, they stole it. Okay, they stole it from the Hyksos, which were Aryan, and they stole it from the Persians, which were Aryan. And then they, as Jews, stole their mythology, pretended it was their own, and are walking around in this world pretending to be the chosen people, but they stole their history, they stole mythology, and they just are complete imposters in every way about everything they claim to be on every level. And what they do is, as I've shown in this series, is they pervert the symbolism. They take the symbolism that would have been Egyptian symbolism, or Hindu, Vedic symbolism, or Norse symbolism, and then they pervert it with their toxic math, and they poison the symbology, and they created this absolutely horrendous, heinous religion called Abrahamism through it. You know, Judaism, Islam, Christianity, and atheism, and Satanism basically is the fifth element. It's all Satanism, and the Jews are at the heart of it, and the Jews at the very root of who and what they are is based on nothing but a complete fraud. They stole everything they have, they lie about everything they have, and their culture and history is stolen Aryan history and mythology. Now, is that true? It sure sounds true. Now, if you base, but is it absolutely true? Well, again, who can absolutely say? But if you look at the Jewish influence in the world today with communism, Abrahamism, Zionism, and all these other just grotesquely evil constructs that come from them, well, what else could you possibly believe? But it's time for us to wake up as human beings and recognize these people for who and what they are, and it's time to recapture our roots as individual races. See, I mean, if you look on my Facebook page, I mean, you would think I was the biggest racist on earth, but I'm not. You know, every race of people should find the glory of their race. So if you're white and you're from the Aryan race, be proud of your heritage. If you're black, and be proud of your heritage. If you're Asian, be proud of your heritage. If you're Hispanic, be proud of your heritage. If you're Arabian, be proud of your heritage, and glory in it, and find glory in it. You know what I mean? And the trick is to find pride and glory in your race and your heritage without condemning other races and making them wrong for being who they are. See, especially in the case of Hitler, but you know, Hitler in the Third Reich, I mean, they weren't anti-other race. They were pro-Aryan race, okay? But they weren't anti-black, they weren't anti-Hispanic, they weren't anti-anything, except anti-Jew. But we all should be anti-Jew, because these verminous imposters stole everything they have, and not only did they steal it, but then they pervert it and make it profane. And now if you look, and you analyze what's been done throughout history, it's as clear as a bell. So this is Yggdrasil in the single-digit code. Thank you, and namaste.